If you suffer from going in too many directions at the same time, watch this. If you've been going and you made some huge attempts and you just got burned and you get pulled back and that hurts. Know that there is a different action that you could take to get to where you want to go. And that should comfort you because you do have the drive. You do have the skills, the capabilities, the tools. They're all with you. They've been with you. You've been building them this whole time. And it would be a shame to not reap the benefit of going through all that life and to not be able to live the life that you want to live. Let's grab that. Let's grab it for our kids. Let's grab it for ourselves. Let's grab it for our parents. Let's grab it for our passed away grandparents. Let's grab it for our ancestor that fought in some war to get us to where we're at. Let's grab it for ourselves. Real love starts with yourself. You got to take care of yourself. You expand. 1 or 2 avenues max. I am going to take you through a deep dive process using parts of my life as an example of narrowing down and expanding the various avenues in your life to avoid spreading yourself too thin and growing nothing. Let's do me during COVID. At this point, I wasn't sure of what I wanted to do. I did just start Helpful Guidelines, but it was more of a hobby. Helpful Guidelines was kind of a hobby, but I had a dream. I really wanted to just help people get through what I had been through in life. My audiovisual career completely got ripped away from me at the time, although I was still studying and I was doing virtual gigs. I did thousands of virtual gigs. I had worked for years to create the labor pool, although I was scared to put the labor pool into action because the labor pool was scary because some of my friends had tried to create labor pools and they then tried to get work after creating this small labor pool and nobody wanted to give them work anymore because they were competition. And I did not want that to happen to me. I was very scared of that happening to me. And so I created this labor pool on Slack for free. It was called the AV Loop. I wanted to kind of turn it into something profitable. So it was like in my mind, a future business idea. I just wasn't doing very good at it. I was driving around collecting jet ski parts, making offers on people's jet skis that were broken for all their parts. People that were parting out jet skis, I would buy all their parts and then I would resell them on eBay for more money. I made probably over the course of a year, like $2,500 on that. So that was fun. And then of course, used other stuff, fell into that kind of loop there. But I was going after this for money. I wanted money. I definitely didn't have much money. I worked at Costco. It took me like a bunch of tries to get into Costco. I finally got into Costco with the help of my in-laws, and they helped me verbalize my resume very well, which was pretty cool. So I had Costco as a money idea. I drove Uber and like DoorDash and all that stuff. I tried to create a product. Candy label tape. One thing I learned about products is they're very hard to make. What I wanted was gaff tape was super big, and I couldn't fit it in my pocket, the white roll for labeling, and so I just downsized it. But I wanted good tape. I hate the crappy brands of tape. I wanted a good brand like ProGaff to put in my pocket and be able to carry around as handy label tape. I ended up going through all these different manufacturers, and finally one was able to send me a box, but they wanted an order of 300, so I had 300 rolls of tape. I did try re-rolling ProGaff onto a smaller roll. It didn't work out very well, and I'm pretty sure that you can't just resell somebody else's product. Not only was I doing that, but I was trying to do affiliate marketing. There's so many coaches online and like Instagram ads for if you're kind of lost and trying to find an avenue to go for financial gain. Affiliate marketing seems like a great option. And yes, it can be a great option. I mean, I kind of don't believe in it, but we see other people succeed at affiliate marketing. So I had AV Tech Essentials. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on advertising. I do white box, and I would take beautiful photos and make a carousel. I would test all these products. I would buy tons of products of different various types and I would test them against each other. And then I would create videos and pictures going over what I thought about these products. And then I would have affiliate links to my cake store with Amazon products in there. And I even did have like some eBay links. Amazon, after a while of me trying my hardest, first off, they didn't pay me for when my friends bought products, which is really weird. They wouldn't even give me a piece of the financial gain when my friends, and I don't know how they tracked that, like through Instagram, they would figure out one of my actual friends bought the item and they wouldn't count that towards my store. After a while of doing this, I think like almost a year, they finally told me that I didn't qualify and I like barely made it under their qualifying bracket. I was almost there. They told me, well, you can try again if you'd like, we just won't be paying you for it. And I'm like, why would I do that? So I closed that entire store. I immediately deleted my page, AV Tech Essentials. I was like, this is terrible. I don't want to do this. And I'm glad I did it. But during this period of time, I was putting a ton of energy into AV Tech Essentials. So at this time, I was really big into marijuana. It was an identity. Luckily, I wasn't smoking cigarettes, really. I did that when I was younger. I was skateboarding. I was doing a lot of hiking, backpacking, hanging out with friends, my girlfriend. I was putting a lot of energy into my girlfriend, and thank goodness that I did, because she's my wife now. Obviously, chores, tidy, clean, organized, and then fixing my cars. I had 2 cars because they kept breaking. Luckily, my first career I ever tried to do was a mechanic, and I decided I did not want to be a mechanic. I ended up working at KFC and then selling cars. Fixing car was something that I was constantly doing. Either my Mitsubishi Lancer was breaking or my Jeep Grand Cherokee was breaking. And I was constantly fixing one of those 2, trying to keep them running so that I can have at least one to go to work. This was not really a hobby, so I put it in green because it was more of a chore. Now, my car is a hobby and my camper van is a hobby. Yeah, it could be a chore if they break, but I don't like travel. I don't drive to venues all the time anymore for work like I was back then. And so I can take an Uber now. I'm like not as concerned about it. My financial standing has changed a bit too. I was very broke during these times. So I was going after, when I wake up in the morning back in like 2021, I was like, okay, am I going to work on AV Tech Essentials today? Am I going to go to Costco today? Am I going to work on Uber today? Am I going to work on this product today? I could go to work, right? I could work on helpful guidelines, which I didn't at all. I did not do this. I had like 6 posts that I left up for like 3 years. So helpful guidelines was out. Hey, I was focusing, right? I was actually not doing this. I was focusing. I was like, oh, I could work on my jet ski shop and selling used stuff and then kind of working and building on my labor pool. That was a lot to look at. And each of these things took so much energy. So when you figure out what your avenues are, then you can explode all of these. Like my label tape, I had to figure out merchandisers, product costs, advertising costs, how to sell it, where to sell it, getting it in front of customers. Whew. Yeah, that one was a failure. AV Tech Essentials. Like you could explode each item like we talked about. And that is what I call expanding an avenue. And a lot of times we're focused on expanding the avenue. That's what we're looking at, is expanding the avenues most of the time. We aren't looking at like the whole, what do I have to choose in my day today? We aren't looking at this usually. Usually we wake up, maybe we'll do a little tidying, we'll smoke some MJ, and then we're like, what are we going to do? Maybe I'll work on my car for a bit. Maybe I'll schedule a job for tomorrow. Maybe I'll go drive some Uber later. Maybe I'll work on my affiliate marketing page because I think that's the way. And we're like, okay, so we're like thinking now about, it's like, what is the one that we're really thinking about? Okay, so let's say we chose AV Tech Essentials. We're like, oh, this is one avenue, AV Tech Essentials. This is affiliate marketing. This is what I was going after real big back in the day. So here I have, what can I do with my day to better this, right? What can I do to push this thing forward? And so I have take pictures, buy products. And so then this spans out. Like if I don't have the money to buy products, what do I have to do now? Work. I have to go to work to buy products, right? Or maybe I can test products that I have bought. It's a task to do. I had to put it through the dredges. I measured things like temperature and sound and quality and feel and all sorts of things. Marketing. How am I going to make this page better? What settings am I going to use on my camera to make things look better? How am I going to make my My copy, how am I going to make my copy better? What am I going to write out for my products? Caption I put is copy, looks, like how am I going to make it look good? Marketing, like advertising. And then if I get caught on that bunny trail, it's like, oh, I don't have money for ads. What do I have to do? I have to go to work. It's a very frustrating loop. And that's why last year I focused so much on gaining financial capabilities to make this year something I could take off with. I can work on like making my logo look better and what colors I'm using. Should I build a website? Should I make the store look better? Because I had my store and I had to make the store look a certain way and like feel a certain way and make it simple so people can click less. And then I have, I'm just gonna break some off here. I had, how am I gonna make sure that I get paid from that? So I had Amazon, working with them, making sure I was doing things the right way with them, the framework. And as you can see, there's a lot that could come out of one thing. And then we don't even think about my presentation. This is something I think a lot about now. So I have basically 10 steps of expanding an avenue. And one of the big things that we have to look at is like when I'm on camera, how do I look? How do I talk? How do I sound? How do I compose myself? Presentation. Am I hungry? Like, have I had nutrition lately? Have I gone to the gym lately? Have I taken care of my mind lately? Like, this all plays into the presentation on my videos and how people perceive me and how I perceive myself and how I get work that affects how I'm able to buy products and pay for ads and do all this stuff. And it's so easy to just get lost mentally. It's like, where the hell am I going with all this? And then we end up just analysis paralysis on the couch. Maybe we do a few things, right? Maybe we do a few things, but then what happens is something very hooking, like freaking social media. Literally every single post that you see, I figured this out trying to make this page. Every post that you see has a good hook. It's like they're fishing for our brain, right? And so we're doing all this stuff, and then all of a sudden, and there's my hook. I'm hooked in. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, now I want to scroll this for a bit. And then I'm like, oh, I don't really actually want to do this, but I do want to look at snowboarding. And then I start looking at cars crashing. And so this takes over, and there goes half our day because we were so distracted. We were going in so many directions that we weren't very focused. So something came along and offered us a reprieve from, it's like, well, if you want with your day, you can go down this avenue of scrolling Instagram and smoking pot. You could do that all day and you could feel happy. So you're like, sweet, let's do that instead. And then that goes your day. What I'm getting at is I can go many directions at once and not get traction in what is important. I can do that if I choose. And I choose that all the time. And that's what I'm working on is back in the day, I had to learn how to get rid of some things. Oh, this is the wrong one. My car kept breaking. So I ended up selling both cars. This was actually before Uber. I sold both cars and bought a nice Elantra, which allowed me to do Uber. So then I didn't have to fix cars anymore. I pulled that off of my task list and gave myself a means of making money. I didn't know where at that time I was going to make the most money, and I just needed to survive. And so it worked. I made a decent amount of money off of rideshare. And then eventually I got to a point where I had all these things to do and I was still driving Uber for like, I don't even know why. It was like out of habit. It was kind of fun to me because I get to meet random people and talk about random things. But eventually I was able to take off Uber. Obviously Costco went away and AV gigs became one of my big things. I closed the eBay store. It was very distracting and it wasn't paying very well. And I had bought everybody's broken craft in the local area. And so it's getting harder and harder to source materials. Used stuff, I mean, that's a hobby, right? I keep putting that in black because it feels like you make money. But I turned that into a hobby and started doing it a lot less aggressively. The labor pool, I finally went all in on with my buddy Brian, and it's worked out very well. The labor pool is a great success. Great success. Helpful guidelines. We actually brought it out of nothing, and I started turning that into a hobby later on. I focused a lot on AV gigs. AV Tech Essentials went away, thank God. So this was me getting rid of avenues because I needed to be able to focus, right? So we'll carry these down, right? AV, obviously my hobbies and my chores. Oh, we got rid of the label tape. My goodness. We closed out the label tape. We got rid of AV Tech Essentials. I got rid of my cars and went to Uber. That eventually got rid of Uber. So now I'm focusing on AV gigs and the labor pool. This was 100% of my attention from 2021 until my grandma passed in June of 2 years ago. So 2024. So it's 3 solid years I was doing this. MJ, skateboarding or something and hiking, friends, my girlfriend, working on chores. And then the majority of it, I was just doing gigs and working on the label. And that helped me a ton because then I was able to focus and expand my gigs in the labor pool. It was awesome. It really sucks when we have all these different ideas and we try to go after them at the same time. And to even think about this stuff and structure, we have to be in a place of safety because you cannot analyze your life and make changes if you are in a place that doesn't feel safe. If you feel like you have to be on your toes and have your walls up. If you have your walls up to yourself, you're not going to be able to work on yourself. And so that's huge. You want to be in a place of safety. So this year, I'm going to work on trying to get rid of quite a bit of that.
Weed usage.
It's tarnishing my ability to do what I really want, which is helpful guidelines. And if it's taken away from helpful guidelines, then it's taken away from my vision, my dream, which is not good. So, gotta let some things go. One of the hardest things that I've had to internalize even the last few days, this week, is to move forward with something great in your life, to just completely go into it and make it huge and great. You have to kill off parts of your old self. And it feels like killing. It is rough. And I don't want to do it. I mean, I do and I don't. Like, do I foresee myself living the way I am last week and achieving the goals that I want in my life? No, I don't see how that can even go together. So obviously I have to change the way that I live my life. Amazing. No, it is amazing. Okay, so I had helpful guidelines. I got gig work, got the labor pool. I'm gonna get rid of selling stuff because I kind of stopped doing that. I did a good push. I cleaned out a lot of my house. Now I'm kind of done with that for a bit. Eventually, what we're going to do is we're going to take the hobbies away. Obviously, I'm not trying to DJ right now. I'll come back to that later in life. I'm not hanging out with people who I don't want to hang out with. And I'm actually not working on my car or the camper van at the moment. I want to focus on this. So let's break this down. Let's make it easier to look at. Because when we think about what are we going to do financially, this is where my time is going right now. Helpful guidelines, doing gigs, working on the labor pool. And so when I think of how do I expand these, I can't expand all 3 at the same time. I can't go deep into helpful guidelines while I study how to be a better switcher op, graphics op, audio engineer, and do better work at my gigs, while I work on marketing and training technicians and vetting technicians and finding new clients. I can't do all of this at once. And if I try to link them all in my brain, like this helps this, and this helps that, and this helps this, it doesn't work. I mean, I get it that they play into each other. Like everything right now, helpful guidelines makes $0. In fact, it loses money, right? It loses money a lot. So AV work goes into this and labor pool goes into this. These 2 are feeding this. And so it's like, okay, should I focus on these 2 because those are the ones feeding this? Well, then that doesn't make quite sense because if I'm not investing heavily into what it's feeding, why feed it? That was the labor pool in the beginning. The labor pool in the beginning made No money. I mean, it did, but then we spent it all. We wanted to put a team in, better marketing and website, and we made mistakes, paying for our mistakes. And the labor pool almost made nothing. We've turned that around, thank goodness. We had to focus on that. It had to be. That's why I'm glad that my life went the way it went, because I didn't have the time back when I was focusing on the labor pool to work on helpful guidance. I was completely dead. In fact, that was the time of my life where, oh my goodness, let me tell the story. So this is probably 2023. Yeah, mid 2023. Work was going crazy. I mean, we were busy. I had so many gigs. The labor pool was going bonkers because a lot of labor had fallen out during COVID. People didn't know where to find good labor. And honestly, we barely did too. We're teaching people how to coil cables so that they could help strike and going over safety things. I had to be present a lot to help manage some of the newer members of the team, and kind of wild. What I would do is I would work gigs and then I would like be in the bathroom texting people, where they're going. Are you available for this shift? Finding people that are available for shifts. Honestly, I wasn't the greatest gig worker and I felt bad about that. I hated that. I really, really hated that about myself because I wanted to be the best. I pride myself at being one of the best technicians that you can hire. And if I can't do that because I'm distracted with the labor pool, what the heck? So I would focus a lot on my AV work as much as I can because I had to. I wanted to, that was where I made my money. That was where I still paid all my bills with AV work. I was building labor pool because I wanted to have it later in life to share with Brian and Tyler and I. And the people in the labor pool, I really wanted the technicians to also enjoy working with us and make good money with us. Yeah, it was like building this beautiful thing. So I would focus on the AV work during the day. And then at night, I would send a bunch of emails, especially to clients, with crew lists and quotes and all of that stuff. And then I would send out all the texts to all the text to all the texts. Yeah, I'd be like booking labor at like 1 in the morning, midnight, 11 p.m. People are like, what the hell is your problem? I'm like, I don't want to go over that right now. Are you available on the 15th at 3 p.m. or are you not? And so, yeah, I wasn't sleeping, so I wasn't eating right. I was having terrible heartburn, and I was flying all across the country doing this. I was working on the plane. There was this one time I'll never forget. Going into November, this AV career tends to die off in Arizona about Thanksgiving. I was just been going so hard for so long, and for like a month, I'd been kind of dizzy. First off, I lost joy. Like I was not a happy person. I was very angry. People were like, dude, you're killing yourself. Like, this is not you. This is not the Justin that I know. And I'm like, me neither, man. But I don't know any other way around this because I know what I'm building. I know where I want to go. And I know that I have to put in the work now to create that. And it wasn't the wrong decision. I believe wholeheartedly that that was a great decision because it has created something that is beautiful now that I get to enjoy. And so it was necessary. It's just, it was absolutely terrible and wretched time for me. So that died off first. I was getting skinny and I was relying heavily on marijuana to pull me through. And to this day, I don't know if that was a bad idea because I feel like I needed it. Like I needed something. And that's why when I talk to people about like marijuana and alcohol, I this is a tangent, but I call it a tool. If the tool works and it gets you through, we have to at least recognize that it did its job. Now, if it stops doing that, and it stops helping you even use it as a tool, then it becomes completely just an addiction. Like that's all it is at that point. It's an addiction tool and it helps you, but if it stops helping you, now it's just an addiction that drags you down. Which reminds me of back when I was a kid on opiates. When I was in my 20s, early 20s, I was on opiates for a while. And that was absolutely terrible. So, that done getting distracted. I was not happy. I was very angry at people and I was losing friends and relationships like crazy, and I was gaining friends and relationships like crazy, and I did not know what the hell was happening, and I just wanted to sleep. That's all I wanted to do. Every day I just wanted to sleep. So at a certain point, I started to get really shaky, like all the time. Even when I like ate right, it was my nerves were just fried, and so I was shaky all the time. I was having to go pee constantly, and then I got dizzy, and I was like, "Why do I feel dizzy right now?" And I kind of like the forward backwards balance. I kind of lost it, and I was working like this. I was going through convention centers, traveling, working, talking to clients, doing all this stuff, booking labor, hanging out with my wife. Not much of that actually, while being dizzy. And this went on for like a month and a half. And I'm coming in, I'm probably at like September now. The worst part that happened, I'll never forget, I was in Boston Convention Center, the BCEC. I was walking across the main ballroom diagonally, and I was super dizzy, so tired. And I felt like I was getting electrocuted. Literally, I was like, ah, like that. My buddy's like, what? And I'm like, oh man, I just feel like I got like a shock, like electrocuted. I felt like I was getting electrocuted for like a week. Every now and then. It just kept happening. I got used to it. I would just walk in and just like keep going. And layer after layer would keep happening. I would just keep pushing through. And then I scheduled all of my gigs to end at a certain point, but I had to still get through them. And I was back in town and I was working on Camelback Road in Phoenix. And I was the audio engineer on this gig. And I was just at the end of the gig, I was just laying on my console. The gig was over. I had succeeded, and I had nothing but days off in front of me for like a month. I took like all this time off because I knew I needed to heal. And my buddy's like, "Are you okay? You don't look very okay." I feel like shit. I feel like complete shit right now. My stomach hurts so bad. I don't even know what's happening, and I'm just gonna go home and I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna sleep for weeks. So I'm very excited. I'm not in a bad spot right now. I'm actually very happy. Like, all right, well, let's strike. So we struck the stuff, got out of there, went home. And I woke up the next day and I had to go to like a Thanksgiving dinner with Mariah's company. And I had the worst ulcer in my stomach that I've ever had. Pretty much the only one. Yeah, I think it's the only ulcer I've ever had. It was huge. I couldn't eat anything for weeks, really. I mean, I just very little. Everything hurt. And I had to heal from that. And yeah, that's what happens when you overextend yourself. Luckily, after that, I learned. I think I did the bulk of the work by that point, and we hired somebody that actually helped more than the last person that was in there. The last person was a bad idea. Thank goodness we have one employee who is absolutely amazing and carried me and my business partner through that the whole way, and she's still with us. It's amazing, super crucial to my success. We hired somebody else to help her, and now there's another person helping, and so the labor pool kind of runs itself now, right? I mean, it doesn't. I mean, I put a lot of work into it still. It's just like more than before. I'm not dying now. And every now and then I expand this a bit. You know, I worked on the website. Sometimes I focus on this. You know, I gotta make sure I keep the client relations up. Kind of like a sales guy now, and help with things get really busy. So now my focus, strangely enough, I keep tabs on this, right? I keep tabs. It's my gig work and helpful guidelines. Because I need to pay the bills, right? I definitely need to pay the bills though. I can't just stop paying the bills. I don't know, like it's gotta be so scary to completely like quit your job and go after something that could be lucrative. It's just how to make it lucrative. I don't know. I mean, I do know now. It's just like to quit. I don't know how to stop making money. So yeah. So we shaped some things down, and I can expand this. Now, if I were to expand my AV work, so this has been a long process for me. When I first got into AV, I was at the end of 5 years of an opiate addiction, and I occasionally was relapsing. I was working at Del Taco and Mi Amigos. My plan at the time, before I got in AV, before I got the opportunity, I'll even roll back a little more. So I was selling cars, and I hated selling cars after a certain point. And I had left this car dealership that I had created. I sold cars for 5 years, created this car dealership with my buddy Robert Gray. We made that car dealership amazing. It made money. Although the problem is I was by myself and I had easy access to opiates. And so not a good idea. So I closed that place down, left it all to him, gave him instruction on how to run it. And he ran it pretty well without me there. I went to move back into my old town, Mesa, and was selling cars for about a year or so. Realized I did not want to do it, especially after taking basically advantage of a customer financially. I convinced them to buy this car. I called them, was like, man, you need a new car. And like got them to come down. And man, I was looking at their finances and stuff. They should definitely not have bought a car. I felt terrible, but I sold the shit out of this car and they bought it and they were happy. And then I was like, man, we need to get this trade out of here because they're going to be coming back once they realize what they did. And sure as shit, they did. They came back. They were pissed. The deal was done, funded, over. And that was a terrible moment in my life and theirs. And I quit. I was like, man, I went and got a job at a taco shop. 2 taco shops. Taco shops are great. I was like, at least I'll like the chips. So my thought was if you close all the doors, that surely something is going to open up. And it did. The Super Bowl came to town in Arizona and they ran out of technicians. And I got a call. Hey, would you like to help us unload and load trucks? Yeah. I went down there. I was sober. Went down there for my first gig. And I knocked the hell out of that gig. I just used my brain and luckily like things that I'd strengthened in myself over the course of my life. I was able to utilize in that gig to come off intelligent and strong and good with clients. And so I got offered more gigs. And because Super Bowl was in town, I had like weeks of gigs all of a sudden, making decent money. And I was like, hell yes! So I latched onto that. On my first gig, I remember this moment. I was in Westworld and I was up against the back of the big ballroom area in the tent that they had, and I was assembling truss together. And I thought to myself, "This is it. This is what I'm doing for the rest of my life, probably." And it will not happen if I don't quit opiates. It's kind of interesting. It's like the avenues thing. I knew that I could not combine those avenues together. That eventually I would get found out or suck ass so bad that I would, or have a nose drip, right? That I would not make this career what I want to make out of it. So I immediately, that day, that was the last day that I ever did opiates. Besides when I got my work on my key. Yeah, never touched it again. And I've never had a problem, never looked back. Every now and then I think I smell it in the air. Never looked back. Cut off any relationships, changed my phone number, all sorts of things. So I went all in on AV. And then, but I didn't really know anything about the industry. Except for when I was like a kid, I did work at the church on similar gigs. So I was kind of handicapped in hard skills when it comes to this career. So I came up with a plan that I would find out and abuse any soft skills that I possibly could to get ahead in this career. And it worked very well. And I'll show you how. So with the AV gigs, you have your learning intel, but intelligence, gain intel, how to run the items, how to use these soundboards, how to make things sound good, how to make things look good, what colors to use, how to make line-in projectors, all sorts of stuff. This is hard skills. Learning hard skills is crucial with doing good in this career because if you don't know what you're doing, how are you going to do it? But there was a million other things that I had. So my appearance, a lot of people showed up to these gigs covered in dog hair, terrible clothing. They're like, hats crazy. They weren't dressed for success. And I invested money in my outfit. I made sure that I looked decent. So anybody that would show up looking worse than me, I would kind of be one up on them, right? Just, here's them, and here's me. And so who do you call the next day? If the hard skills are the same, or if I make it look like the hard skills are the same, right? And we'll just skip all the other soft skills. We assume that we both showed up early to work, but I look better than them. Who's going to get the job next time? Probably me. And so this is what I leveraged for years. So my appearance, punctuality, I made a huge effort. I wasn't very good at it at the time because I was actually a late person. I was the person that was always late for car sales, late for my taco gigs sometimes. I did better on those. But I made sure with AV that I was not late. So if anybody that was later than me, who do you choose on the next gig? Me. My personality, my client-facing personality. I would make sure that I would keep working on how I talk to clients. And that includes shutting the fuck up. Shutting the fuck up was a huge learning lesson for me and made me tons of money when I finally learned this skill. Because nobody wants to hear you yammer on because you are not confident in your own self. And you want to hide that by being funny or talking constantly. As long as you can keep everybody distracted with your speech and your stories and your humor, they don't get to see what's truly inside. Although what's interesting is now looking back, they can totally see that something is wrong. They just don't know what. Yeah. And clients hate it. This is a huge soft skill, shutting the fuck up. And then knowing when to talk, like, and what to say. And then still being, funny, humorous. You can still do some of it. It's just like, I was incessant. I was a class clown growing up, and I talked incessantly for the beginning, and I had to learn how to do that. So I had good appearance, good clothes. I was punctual, made sure I was client-facing, and not annoying to my peers, because my peers are watching all this. And if my peers didn't want to go to work, or they got sick, or they couldn't cover the job, who are they going to call? They're the same as the clients. In fact, they're more important than the clients almost because they're the ones who actually call. The clients don't know you. They have the clients, and then they refer you. Those are the big ones. Don't look mangy. I worked on my slouch as much as I could. I didn't work out. Like, literally, if I had added working out, my confidence would have gone up. My looks would have gone up. My, obviously, strength. And just everything gets better when you are more fit. My slouch would have been less. That would have been nice. But I didn't do that. So I'm going to cross it off. I did skateboard a lot. That helped me out. This is expanding. So I kind of audited what is not working for me, right? If I made a list, I would be like, what is not working? Drugs, being late. So I had to bring myself to a place of safety, right? That's like step one. And then I had to have a vision. Where do I want to be? I want to be the best AV tech. I want to be great at AV. I want to be an operator. I want to be a manager, project manager. Get you. All I really liked to do at the time was rock climb and go camping. So yeah, definitely didn't have I wasn't a nerd in this situation. I was doing it for money. And then I was like, well, what is working for me? The things that I had mentioned during this. Punctual, calm, professional, clean cut. I got rid of the mullet. I got rid of the long hair. I didn't have a mullet when this started, but I got rid of the long hair, cleaned up, getting the freaking lint roller out, and then just studying hard skills. And another huge part of this is networking, which is later. Networking was a huge part of expanding this. What is not working? What is working? And we play that in, and we build structure around it. And there's not enough time in the day to really do everything that we want to do. So we have to structure our schedule to fit what we need to do to succeed into it. Then we work on our skills, obviously our soft skills we work on, and then our hard skills. So I went to classes and all sorts of things, and I studied. I went and stayed after for free on gigs and learned what are people doing during these shows? How do they do it? What does it look like? And then nutrition. Nutrition was a big thing. So I couldn't eat crappy food all the time anymore. I did less junk. And I focused on nutrition a lot because I felt better. I had more energy. This is a high active energy type of career. And so I brought snacks to work, water to work, electrolytes to work. I was eating like crazy. Health is a soft skill. And then relationships, networking. Networking was huge. You need to be respectable, likable, approachable, and referable. And so you don't want to be hanging out with the wrong people, with people that are just destroying their careers. You don't want to be with those people in your career because they're going to tear you down with them. You're going to be seen with them. You're going to be bottled up with them, bottled up, and that's going to take you down. And so you want to build a good network of good people. If you really are who you hang out with, it's not a joke. And so when I started hanging out with all the right people, these operators, asking them questions, and big people in the industry, and tried to be the friend, and just hang out with good regular friends that I had, just eliminated the ones that weren't working out, were doing bad stuff. I refused to hang out with them, and I only hung out with friends that did good stuff, and that was huge for me. So let's go through my relationships. And then the last part is I started acting the part as if I was the role that I wanted to be in, which I call act the part. All this leads to act the part. And the reason why act the part is so important is because who the hell is going to pay you for something that you haven't already done yet? And so you kind of got to do it for free. You got to put yourself in that position and not charge for it. That's my perspective. And so in my head, everything that went wrong at the show was my fault. I think I got him, dude. Probably not. Everything that went wrong on the show was in my head my fault. Even though I knew that I wasn't like associated with it, I still wanted to be associated with it one day as a project manager. So everything I took personally, just to myself in my heart, as my fault. I also stayed after, and I just wanted to get a headset on so I could hear what people are saying. And I would kind of hide in the corner so that their client didn't see. And my client, I would ask them, "Can I do this?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure. As long as you're not a distraction, maybe you could help us out if we need to move something." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And kind of had to fade this in because it wasn't like exactly what the labor pool people I was working for wanted me doing, but I knew what I wanted to be doing, and so I did it. And I bought gear. I bought a switcher and I started learning it, and laptops, and I just started buying gear like crazy. And what's I learned that if even if you don't know how to use the gear, when somebody would ask me like, "Hey man, do you know how to run an ATEM?" I'd be like, "I own an ATEM." They'd be like, "Oh, okay, cool, sweet, put me on the gig." I hadn't even like used the thing yet. So just owning the gear was a way for me to close more clients without having to lie to them. Because if I had to lie, I have a big thing about not lying. Like I could do white lies and I'm not cool with white lies, but like I'm better at them. But actual lying, I'm terrible at. And so I didn't want to lie to my freaking peers and clients. And so I would buy gear so that I could change the subject, move it over here. They're like, "Hey, can you do this?" And I'm like, "Well, I own it, so I could practice it tonight or something like that." Yeah, I can kind of do it. And that got me a lot of work and reputation. And you know what? After I did get the gig, I studied the heck out of it. I practiced it. I went to places that did have the gear. I would put things together and I would make sure that I knew what I was doing when I got there pretty much. And after a while, you just have to experience it. But I was playing the part of where I wanted to be in life before I got there. And that is something that my dad actually taught me when I was young. He was saying, if you want your manager's role, start stealing your manager's role. Just start doing it. Start dressing like them. Start doing the inventory. Start helping them out with things. Start counting the drawers. Start doing everything that your manager does. And then one day you will be the manager. And it worked out great for me. I've been doing that my whole life, and I've been doing pretty damn well with that. Thank you, Dad, for that one. So yeah, this is expanding an avenue. And then the last part is gaining stability and figuring out when you're on the plateau. Because when you're doing all this stuff, you tend to be going up, 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 up. And obviously you have your downs. And then eventually you plateau for a little bit. And then later you should be able to do that, or maybe you go down. But when you're on this plateau right here, it's good to celebrate. Take a break. Realize how far you've come. Celebrate where you're at. Breathe. And hopefully at this point, you're able to get some financial capabilities where poverty is not right behind you like it used to be. So you don't have to like maneuver finally, right? And then you can plan your next takeoff or your next vacation. A lot of times, by the way, a vacation, vacays are good, especially with creativity. If you want to really learn how to do your next move past your plateau, it's good to take a good solid break, especially if you get out in nature without substances. And that's needed down here too. If you're down here and you got poverty right behind you, you probably have been running for your life for a very long time at full speed, terrified of what's behind you, wondering why everybody's like, hey man, you having a good day? How do you even respond to that in those situations when you're down here? And you're like, why would they ask me that? Well, it's because they're probably down here too, similarly, and they're just, communicating with you maybe. It's good if you can down here. What we don't see behind this low point is like a lot more of, you were probably down here before, or just sideways, just been dealing with this for a long time. And what you really want to do, from my perspective, is take a good break. Like literally like 2-3 days in nature, no substances, and just let everything pour off. And I know that you need the money those days. It's just, if you can get that break, then you can free up your mind so much and bring joy to your life so much. And people will grab onto that. People will be like, oh my God, this guy's fun to be around. And they will want you around more. When you stop being so miserable, people will want that in their life. They don't want people, they know you are who you surround yourself with. So they're going to keep you out until you build yourself up. So yeah, take a break. Take a break. Take a break. And just know that there is a different way that you can apply your action. Different from what you have been doing. Try not, because this is one avenue. There's no way that you're going to be able to expand everything. There's no way. It's not going to happen. You're just going to be running around. You do not have enough time and energy to do that. And you're going to end up burnt out and heading back to the same spot that you are right now. And so what we need to do is we need to shave off the excess, focus on what actually has possibility for us, keep the things that we need to keep, get rid of the things that we don't want as much, things that are financially just hobbies. Consider them hobbies and realize they're hobbies. They're not paying your bills. $100 every 2 weeks, not paying your bills, especially if you don't care about it. It's a hobby. And so, unless it takes almost no energy to get that $200, it's a mental thing. It's still mentally on your brain. It's still a distraction, and it still dampens your ability to super succeed in these areas where you're already successful at and already paying your bills with. So shave it off if you can. Through this action being different from what you've been usually doing, with time, hopefully, you get to where you want to go. It's going to take a lot of strength. It's going to take a lot of determination, a lot of drive, I think coaching is a good thing. If you think that I can help you, for now, I have a link on my page. You could do a free one-on-one coaching call with me, even if it's to bounce ideas off me. I'm newer in my phase of this whole thing, and I'd be happy to do that with you. There's other coaches out there that are more experienced than me. Start maybe taking in some knowledge and resources, some books. 3 books I really recommend is Real Love by Greg Bear. These are 3 that really changed my life. And I've read, by now, a ton of books. Real Love by Greg Bear really kicked it off because I really wanted to learn how to love my wife properly, my girlfriend at the time. So Real Love by Greg Bear, this book is so amazing because it teaches you, it sounds like it's all about love, like with your spouse. So we'll put spouse here. But it's mainly yourself. And then what I got out of it a lot is real love doesn't only have to do with your spouse and you. It has to do with your friends, your clients, your coworkers, and random strangers. It even has to do with enemies. Because if you could show your enemy real love, and it throws them off, they might realize what they were looking for, get sad, and go find that. Stop being such a jerk. Another one that was huge for me, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Now, this one is a fiction read, and there's something that I realized about fiction read, like A Wrinkle in Time. That's another one, but I won't write it down. Is when you read something that is so abstract, the ideas are so abstract, it's easier to apply it to your life. When it's nonfiction, you're basing it off of like nonfiction normal things, and then you're like, do I apply to that? Like, I don't know. But when it's fiction, yes, you can definitely manage to change your life based off of what you read in a nonfiction book. So The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, he talks a lot about your personal legend. What is your personal legend? This Helpful Guidelines is my personal legend. And what is yours? I don't know. And it goes over how to go after that, why to go after that, what may happen when you go after that. And my third one is Second Mountain by David Brooks. This was referred to me by a Marine when I was driving Uber, and I guess he liked me. He thought I could go. He said that he believes that I'm meant to go places in life and that I'm going to need this book as a tool. And I didn't read it for years after that. And the Second Mountain is amazing because it teaches you so much about, like, the first mountain in your life when you're building. Like, the first mountain is like your first career, your first big job, and you really want to conquer that mountain. And some people get knocked in. Some people conquer their first mountain. Some people become rich, and then they realize that they don't have what they want, which is joy. Joy is a lot bigger and powerful than happiness from wealth. Although wealth does help a lot. Oh, a lot. Now, some people get kicked off their first mountain into like the valley because of a divorce or some health crisis or anything wild. Maybe so they get kicked into the valley. Here's the second mountain over here. Some people get kicked down and then they try to climb the same mountain of financial wealth. And then they're like, but some people come over here, and this one is giving back. This is giving back to your community. Now, this can pay you well still, but that's not the goal. The goal of the second mountain is to give to your community, is to give from your heart, and to provide a better world for everybody around you. And that is what the second mountain is about. And I think it's an absolutely astounding book to read. So, thanks for your time.